The 2019 offseason may be far from over, but the major waves of free agency have already come and gone. Players have come and gone, and guys who are still with the Dallas Cowboys from last season may have seen their status improve or worsen as a result. So, who are the biggest winners and losers so far? Granted, today's winners could become losers in a few weeks after the NFL draft. Someone who looks like a 2019 starter now might feel less secure if Dallas spends its second-round pick at his position. But for the most part, we have an idea of the pecking order at most of the Cowboys' positions. Because they lack a first-round pick this year, Dallas draft selections are mostly going to be about depth and future potential. Immediate impact is going to be a lesser focus. So, as of today, who has been helped and hurt most by the Cowboys' off-season moves? Winners: Dallas Cowboys Xavier Woods. If the Cowboys had signed veteran Earl Thomas, then it could have meant a backup role for Woods. Both play the free safety position, and Xavier is a little undersized for the strong safety role. Jeff Heath may have kept his spot and put Woods on the bench. But instead of a flashy signing, Dallas went with a bargain option in George Iloka. Not only does Iloka project more as a strong safety, but his minimal one-year contract means he isn't even guaranteed a starting role. That said, Iloka is still just 29 and has 79 career starts. He is not just here for simple depth. At worst, he will likely be part of a rotation with Woods and Heath. Dallas has plenty of reason to be committed to Xavier Woods. He still has 2 years left on his rookie deal and has flashed some game-changing ability already. Last year, Pro Football Focus had him graded almost identically to Giants Pro Bowler Landon Collins. Likely, Woods' positive showing is one of the reasons that the Cowboys felt comfortable not overspending for a guy like Earl Thomas. We'll see if Dallas goes after a safety with one of their top draft picks. But for now, their off-season moves appear to be a vote of confidence in Xavier Woods. Dallas Cowboys Tay Blake Jarwin, Kevin Terrell via AAP. Tay Blake Jarwin. Jason Witten's surprising return may seem like a negative for Jarwin, who was starting for the Cowboys by the end of 2018. But Witten and the team are promising nothing more than a supporting role for the veteran, and that is a good thing for Blake's current prospects. After all, the Cowboys could have made a play for a proven receiver like Jared Cook or taken a chance on former first-round pick Tyler Eifert. They also might have tried to re-sign Jeff Swaim, who was the starter last year before injury. But instead, they have Witten coming back in what sounds like a bit of a player-coach role, and learning from the master could do wonders for Jarwin's game. As we've said already, the draft could change this discussion a lot. Tight end is still a spot where Dallas could go with one of their early picks, and that player would probably knock Jarwin and Dalton Schultz down the depth chart immediately. However, as currently constituted, the Tay position appears to be operating with at least a committee approach. The door has opened for Blake Jarwin to build on last year and earn even more opportunities if things stay this way. Losers: Dallas Cowboys Taco Charlton. Tim Heidman, USA Today Sports. Taco Charlton. You'd like to think a first-round pick entering year 3 would be moving into a starting role, if he didn't have one already. But Taco Charlton is starting to look more like an afterthought than a part of the team's future. Dallas' biggest move so far has been trading for veteran Robert Quinn, who should waltz into the starting role opposite DeMarcus Lawrence. Negotiations between Tank and the Cowboys are ongoing, albeit contentious, and the odds are still on Lawrence playing in Dallas next year. The Cowboys also signed Kerry Hyder from Detroit, who had a big year in 2016 but has been hampered by injury and a scheme change the last 2 seasons. This is in addition to hopes that Randy Gregory will be able to play and still having Durance Armstrong under contract. If Dallas was ready to count on Taco, then they wouldn't have needed to add both Quinn and Hyder, and perhaps neither. It shows their lack of confidence in Charlton, which is highly disappointing given his perceived potential 2 years ago. Some have even wondered if the Cowboys might try to trade Taco during the draft for a mid-round pick. He still has 2 years left on his rookie deal and the 5th-year option in 2021, which could entice a new team who liked him in 2017. Whatever happens, suffice to say that Taco Charlton isn't nearly the factor he should be at this point for the Dallas Cowboys. Their offseason moves only emphasize his low status with the team right now. Dallas Cowboys Jeff Heath, Mark J. Rebels USA Today Sports Jeff Heath. We already mentioned the way safety moves have helped Xavier Woods, and the negative corollary is the impact on Heath. For as much as Xavier's position has been strengthened, Heath's has become shakier. Not only does the George Iloka signing threaten Heath's starting job, but it could even put him in harm's way for a salary dump. Dallas can save $2.5 million off the cap by releasing Jeff from his contract. Even if he winds up on the bench, Heath still has enough value to justify his $2.9 million cap hit. He's a versatile, experienced backup and a special teams leader. But moving to a reserve role would be tough for Jeff with just 1 year left on his deal. He will be turning 29 during the 2020 offseason and would enter free agency after taking a backward step in his career. However, as we've said, Iloka isn't guaranteed to start. A three-way competition is likely coming between Heath, Iloka, and Woods for the 2 starting roles, or at least between Heath and Iloka for strong safety. Jeff should get to fight for his spot. That said, Heath's job security has definitely taken a hit this offseason. Eric Hartline USA Today Sports. The Dallas Cowboys and defensive end Randy Gregory have agreed to a 1-year contract extension. Gregory was scheduled to become a free agent after 2019, but is now signed through the 2020 season. This move will likely surprise many given Gregory's current status. As of late February, Randy became indefinitely suspended once again for a violation of the terms of his conditional reinstatement. Gregory has struggled against the NFL's substance abuse policy for the majority of his career. However, the Cowboys have never wavered in their support of Gregory and their expressed belief that he will return to active duty this season. A day after acquiring Robert Quinn last week, the added year worth $735,000 more with escalator. Team has stayed hopeful Gregory plays in 2019. Drafted in 2015, Randy should have been an unrestricted free agent this year under his original rookie contract. But his missed time from suspensions cost him accrued seasons, according to the CBA, and thus his contract got pushed out another year. This extension to 2020, though, is a willful decision by both team and player. It says a lot about how the Cowboys perceive Gregory and his issues, as compared to their handling of David Irving's situation. What remains to be seen is how hard it will be for Randy to get reinstated again. It will depend on the severity of his violation, which is not currently known, and the measures taken to get back on track. Helping Gregory is that his boss, Jerry Jones, has been one of the most outspoken NFL owners on the need to modernize the league's stance on marijuana. No doubt, his dealing with Rand have helped shape Jerry's views on the matter. We'll have to wait and see how all of this unfolds, and just when Randy Gregory will be available to play for the Cowboys again. But for now, this minor contract move is a strong endorsement of the player from the organization. Matthew Emmons USA Today Sports. The defensive end position has been the hottest topic for the Dallas Cowboys so far in the 2019 offseason. But despite contract negotiations, acquisitions, suspensions, and bar brawls involving various players, one name you haven't heard much is 2017 first-round pick Taco Charlton. Where does he fit into all of this activity? There's no denying that it's been a disappointing start to Charlton's NFL career. Even as a 28th overall pick, the expectations of kick impact come when anyone taken in the first round. Worst for Taco is that he went into this off-season on a bit of a down note. Late last year, he missed a few games as a healthy scratch from the active 46-man game day roster. There were murmurings that he'd fallen out of favor with defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli, with his work ethic being brought into question. Even with a couple of solid games in weeks 16 and 17, the lasting impression of Charlton has been the disappointment. Now that Dallas has made a trade for veteran Robert Quinn and signed free agent Kerry Hyder, some are speculating that they've already soured on him. But if you look at the big picture at defensive end, and particularly beyond 2019, you can see why the Cowboys shouldn't throw in the towel on Taco just yet. Just look at the contract situations for their current talent: DeMarcus Lawrence, franchise tag, currently unsigned; Randy Gregory, TBD pending suspension; Tyrone Crawford, likely salary cap casualty in 2020; Robert Quinn, 1-year deal; Kerry Hyder, 1-year deal; Taco Charlton, signed through 2020, team option in 2021; Durance Armstrong, signed through 2021. As you can see, Dallas doesn't really have a stockpile of defensive ends beyond this season. Even if they get Lawrence signed to a long-term deal, all those names between Tank and Taco are suspect to be part of the team beyond 2019. That means the Cowboys can't afford kick Charlton to the curb just yet. If anything, they should be rooting hard for him to deliver on that first-round potential. Positive signs from Taco in 2019 would mean getting a potential discount for a starting defensive end in 2020, when he still counts just $3.2 million on the last year of his rookie deal. Dallas would also need to decide what to do about the fifth-year option in 2021, which currently projects to be around $9.50 minus $10 million for a defense end taken in the late first round. If Charlton can finally play up to his perceived potential from 2 years ago, then those would be bargain prices. Dallas Cowboys to Taco Charlton. The problem that Taco Charlton now faces, though, is getting the opportunities in 2019 to show what he can do going forward. The Cowboys seem to be loading up onto players, and they may still have Randy Gregory back next year despite his current situation. Last season, Taco only appeared on 39% of the team's total defensive snaps. That number could go down now that Quinn is in the mix. Dallas' aggressive move to obtain Quinn may suggest that they're worried about some players' availability. At the least, they're covering themselves in case things don't go right with Lawrence's contract talks or Gregory's reinstatement. If either of those situations were to end unfavorably, that could help open the door for Taco's playing time next year. Another scenario to consider is that the Cowboys might look to trade Charlton at some point this year, perhaps even during the upcoming draft. They're certainly not going to get back a first or even second-round pick at this point, but a needy team might be willing to give up something for a guy with 2 to 3 years left on his contract. The point here is that we shouldn't mistake these other moves at defensive end this offseason as a sign that the Cowboys will just cut bait with Taco Charlton this offseason. He still has value to them given his contract, and potentially to other teams in a trade. Maybe someone else who liked him in the 2017 draft would think they can get more out of him than Dallas has. Despite the disappointing start, Taco may still have a positive impact on the Cowboys one way or another. As free agency approached, the idea that the Dallas Cowboys would make a splash in the free agency pool grew to a boiling point. Most notably, Earl Thomas felt like a virtual lock in free agency as he and the Cowboys flirted with each other several times over the last year. The Dallas Cowboys called off the pursuit when they opted not to meet his contract demands. Even after Earl Thomas landed his deal with the Baltimore Ravens, names like Eric Berry and Clayton Geathers came through the star only to leave without deals. Cowboys Nation seemed destined for another off-season of one-year deals offered to second- and third-tier free agents. And then the Robert Quinn reports began. When the news first broke of a potential union between the Miami Dolphins edge rusher and the Dallas Cowboys, the compensation focused on a 2020 fourth-round pick. Even at that price, Quinn was going to be a nice addition for the Cowboys. At the price they paid yesterday, Robert Quinn is a steal. Over the past several years, we've seen teams make trades for players on expiring contracts for late-round picks and wondered, how come the Cowboys weren't in on that? One trade that comes to mind is the deal the Jacksonville Jaguars made for Marcell Dareus in October of 2017. At a time when the Dallas Cowboys could have used some run defense in the middle of their line, the Jaguars sent a conditional 6th-round pick in 2018 for the Bills' former first-round pick. It was really nice value for a player who was a legit run-stuffer. Now the Cowboys have finally made a move of their own by trading for the disruptive Robert Quinn. He'll immediately slot in as the starter at right defensive end and brings legit pass-rushing destruction to the Dallas Cowboys. Finally, they have a pair of defensive ends that have the potential to wreak havoc on opposing offenses. According to Clarence Hill, Quinn comes to Dallas on a reworked contract that will decrease his base salary to $8 million but allow him to earn up to $10 million in incentives. Quinn has a chance to make $10 million WTH 7 sacks if you include the Cowboys' salary and $1 million roster bonus already given to him by the Dolphins. https://t.co/ht6FIOC29R Over the course of his 8 seasons in the NFL, Quinn's averaged 8.6 sacks per season and 13.9 games played per year. If you were to prorate his sack total over a 16-game season, he'd average right around 10 sacks a season for his 8 seasons. For reference, DeMarcus Lawrence averages 6.8 sacks a season for his career and 8 sacks per 16 games. That's the kind of player that the Dallas Cowboys are getting in Robert Quinn. Disruptive. According to Pro Football Focus, which tracks total pressures as sacks, hurries, pressures, and QB hits, Robert Quinn finished with 39 in 2018, which was good for 38th in the NFL among edge players, 3 to 4 OLBs and 4 to 3 Ds. Sure, 38th doesn't sound very good, but consider that he was only 3 total pressures behind Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones is widely considered one of the best 4 to 3 defensive ends in the NFL. Only DeMarcus Lawrence had more pressures for the Dallas Cowboys than Quinn did, and he had a lot more, 63. Randy Gregory came in just behind Quinn with 37 in 14 games, but with his status uncertain to start the season, the Cowboys needed to bring in Quinn. In Pro Football Focus's stops category, which is defined as a play that results in a loss for the defense, Quinn finished 33rd with 23. Aside from DeMarcus Lawrence, who had 44 stops, tied for 4th in the NFL, no defensive end for the Cowboys had more than 12 stops. Now Robert Quinn comes to Dallas where he won't be the focal point of opposing offenses' game plans. With teams having to focus their attention on DeMarcus Lawrence, Quinn will get to see more one-on-ones in pass-rushing situations. In the run game, opposing offensive coordinators will be so concerned with jetting to the second level to limit the damage by Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and Sean Lee, that Quinn will be disruptive on that front as well. Of any move the Dallas Cowboys have made in the last couple of years, this one might be the best. Yes, drafting Leighton Vander Esch was huge and trading for Amari Cooper might have saved the season, but bringing in Robert Quinn might have taken the Dallas Cowboys from playoff participants to legitimate Super Bowl contenders. There's a lot that could change between now and Week 1 of the NFL season, but with the Robert Quinn addition, there's no reason to believe that the Dallas Cowboys won't be pushing to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.